Does anybody have homework questions? I have a reminder that you have study group. Study group is meeting Monday and Wednesday. If that doesn't work for you, you can go ahead and email or go to the website at tutoring and connect with a tutor there. Remember, you can do Skype tutoring as well if you're not able to come to campus. Our quiz in this class, I believe, okay, this is the 9:30 class. I believe the registrar has that set for the 18th. Did anybody look it up at the link on the syllabus that I made? Okay, the 18th, and it's at 8 in the morning, so a little earlier than 18th at 8 in the morning, next Wednesday. Yeah. We're looking at section 10.3 today. This is my favorite section because it helps for me to feel like I can get you started on your way financially, have some good principles in mind as you move out of your college years into your work life. So we start here with Adam and Eve invest 1 penny in a bank account, paying 3%. That's supposed to be compounded annually. How much money will the account hold after 1,000 years? Will it be $10,000? $100,000, $1 million, or $1 billion? Go ahead and write what you think it will be. Excuse me. In a little while we'll go ahead and figure out how much it will be, and you'll see if you are correct or not. Our life lesson in this section is to understand simple things deeply, and our goal is to understand interest. Well, let's start with Adam and Eve. What is compound interest anyway? I just wrote this formula that describes compound interest. A equals P times 1 plus R divided by N to the NT. What is compound interest? Does anybody know what compound interest is? Compound interest is when you earn interest on your interest. When you earn interest on your interest. Ben Franklin called compound interest the force that would turn your lead into gold. So compound interest. So for example, suppose you have 6% interest on $100. Well, let's make it $1,000. And it's not compounded. Then at the end of the year, you get $60. However, if that had been compounded semi-annually, if that 6% had been compounded semi-annually, then in 6 months, you would have 3% interest. So you'd have $30. You're like, well, yeah, but that's, 30 and 30 is still 60. Yes, However, the $30 gets put into your account, and then in the second 6 months, you get interest on not just the $1,000, which would be another $30, but you get interest on the $30 as well. So 1,030 times 0.03 is $30.90. So you'd have $1,060.90. Now you might think, well, that's kind of pitiful, 90 cents difference. We're going to see, though, that the reason Ben Franklin said compound interest can turn your lead into gold is because this grows. It grows, and what makes it grow is your percentage rate and the number of years that we're compounding. So we have this example with Adam and Eve. Let's go ahead and look at that formula more closely and then use it for the Adam and Eve example. So A is the final amount. Then we have P as the principal. So that's your initial investment.
So in the example of the initial investment, would have been 1,000?
Yes. So in this example, the $1,000 would be the principal. In the Adam and Eve investment example, 1 penny is the principal. R is the rate. Now you write the rate as a decimal. So that 6%, you'd write 0.06. So you move your decimal place 2 to the left. So 6% has a decimal to the right of the 6. You move it 2 places to the left. If you had 3.75%, you move the decimal 2 to the left, 0.0375. No rounding throughout this, okay? Keep at least 4 decimal places. So your rate is a R. It's expressed as a decimal. Move your decimal place 2 to the left. N is number of times compounding per year. Number of times compounding per year. And T is time in years. So we had an example with Adam and Eve. They had 1%, so 0.01 invested at 3% for 1,000 years, compounded annually.
What does that mean annually?
Once a year. Annually means 1 time per year. So at the end of the year, the interest is calculated and then put into the account, and then the interest grows on the interest. And that's why we don't want to round it off, right? If you round off 3% interest on a penny, that's not very much interest. Don't round it off, okay? We want our no rounding off. Leave those decimal places. So let's go ahead and use this formula. A equals P times 1 plus R over N to the NT. This, by the way, this formula is provided on the quiz. So you just need to know how to use the formula on the quiz. So let's see, the 1 penny, 0.01, that's the principal. We talked about that. The 3%, what would that be?
That's all.
Yep, R. And we write it as 0.03. I get a lot of quizzes that use 3 instead of 0.03, so make sure you're not the one making that error. T is 1,000. And the 1 time per year means N is 1. That compounded annually.
So when it says NT, it's just N times T, so in this case it would just be to the 1,000?
Yes, good. So we have 0.01 for P, 1 plus 0.03 divided by 1, and 1 times the 1,000. So usually N is a different number. Like if you're compounding semi-annually, that would be 2 times per year. If you're compounding quarterly, that would be 4 times per year. So I want to make sure we know what order we're doing this in. So we'll do this first. Okay, if you're using a scientific calculator that you can put everything in at once, put parentheses around the 1 times 1,000. If you're doing it step by step, which is what we're going to do together because everybody doesn't have a scientific calculator, if you're doing it step by step, you do this first, and then this division second. We're following the order of operations from algebra class. So we want to get the exponent figured out. We want to get this division figured out. In this case, it's easy because we're just dividing by 1 and multiplying by 1. But we'll write all the steps down so that when it's not so easy, when n is a different number, we'll know what order to do these steps in. Okay? So first do the exponent, then do the division, next do this addition. Okay, we need to add up what's inside the parentheses. So 1 plus 0.03 is 1.03. Fourth is the exponent. So 1.03 to the 1,000th power. And that's really the interesting step because that tells how many times your money is increasing. The multiple of times that your cent is growing. So 1.03 raised to the 1,000th power. Well, now this is interesting. What does E12 mean? Good. Times 10 to the 12th. So the E12 times 10 to the 12th means we're multiplying by a power of 10 that has 12 zeros. That means when I write this number down, I'll move my decimal place 12 digits to the right. So 6, 8, 7, 4, 2, 4, 0, 2, 3, 1, and then I think I need some more zeros yet. Let me count. Yeah. I only moved it 9, so I have to add 3 more zeros. Six, 8, 7, 4, 2, 4, 0, 2, 3, 1, 0, 0, 0. And now I multiply that times 0.01. So now I have E10 because the 0.01 divided by 100 is what that's doing. So we have, now I have this number with just 10 zeros. I mean 10 decimal places after the 6.
Well, we never put the decimal in there.
It's right there. It's right at the end. But now we only needed 10 decimal places, so those 2 zeros are gone. It was a lot of fun. So I have some examples from this. This is written at a time in our history when we had really high interest rates. So I think he actually wrote it in the 90s. Did you know in 1970, 79, you could get interest in the world's most secure savings, the U.S. Treasury bond. You could get that at 17%. If you'd have bought some of those 30-year bonds at 17%, that would have been a remarkable return on your investment. At any rate, we have the story of Ben and Arthur. Both save $2,000 per year, and they are getting 12%. So that would be a mutual fund, probably. You're not going to get CDs that pay that percent. The idea behind mutual funds is that you're investing in the stock market, but you're investing in thousands of stocks. With your little amount that you invest, a tiny bit goes in thousands of stocks in most mutual funds. And so if some of those stocks go down, hopefully the others are going up or staying stable and making up for it. You're spreading your risk. Okay, so both save $2,000 per year at 12%. Ben starts at age 19 and then stops at age 26. So for 8 years, Ben invests $2,000 a year, but then he quits. He never does any more investing at all. He invests a total of $16,000. Evidently, that's $167 a month. Okay, Arthur, on the other hand, does not invest at that young age. He waits till he's 26, but then Arthur is very, very careful to always invest $2,000 a year for the next 40 years almost, 38 years. So every year until Arthur turns 65, he invests $2,000. So that comes out to like more than $70,000. So Ben only invests $16,000 starting at age 19, $2,000 a year. Arthur invests $2,000 a year for 38 years. So who do you think has more when they both turn 65?
Ben.
Good, you're right. Ben has over $2 million with only that $16,000 investment. Arthur never caught up, and that's why I'm pointing this out to you, because you're young. You have 40 years of investing ahead of you that you can do. Okay? If you wait till you're in your 30s, that opportunity will never come back, just like it never came back for Arthur. It never catches up. So those extra years make a huge difference. So let's do some of these examples that you could do. All right? So you are going to graduate from college and get a new job. Who expects to earn more money in their new job than they are right now? When you get out of college? Yes. That's a perfect opportunity for you to invest $2,000, even if you just do it one time. That's what we'll look at, just $2,000 one time. We won't even worry about you doing it year after year. Because you'll have your new job. You won't be used to spending that kind of money yet. Hopefully you're not. Hopefully you're not living on credit cards, okay? And so you'll have this money put aside before you even see it. That's the easiest way to spend. $2,000 one time at age 22. Say you're in a decent mutual fund at 10%, compounded quarterly. The more frequently you compound, the better it is for you. So you can compound monthly, daily, whatever your money management will allow you to do. Okay, and you leave it there until you are 65. So that makes 43 years. Okay, so you just do this one time. Let's go ahead and see how much that will get. So the $2,000, what letter is that? P. Yeah, okay. And you're just doing it the one time at age 22 at 10% compounded quarterly. So the R is 0.1. Okay, remember the decimal place was to the right of the 10 and you move it 2 places to the left. So if you want, you can write 0.10 if that makes more sense to you. It's compounded quarterly. What does that tell us if it's compounded quarterly? N, yeah. And N is 4. And 43 is T. 43 years is how long you leave that money invested. Let's see what that does for you. N is 4. You have 4 times 10. 4 times 43. If you're using a scientific calculator, don't forget parentheses around the 4 times 43. Who remembers what do we do first on this?
Exponents.
Good, yeah. So 4 times 43. And you can also do the 10 divided by 4 at the same time because it's in the parentheses, so it's a little separate. So 0.1 divided by 4. Then remember to add the 1 and the 0.025 together. And now you apply the exponent. $69. That's the interesting number because that's how many times we're multiplying your investment by. Keep at least 4 decimal places. So 69.9045. So that means almost 70 times your initial investment. So if you invested 1,000, it would be at 69 times that. If you'd invested 10,000, it would be at 69 times that. Well, 70 basically, 70 times. So let's do that multiplying with $2,000 invested. $139,808.91. So that time makes a huge difference. If you have a scientific calculator, it's easy to see the difference that it makes by just typing in a different time period. I'm going to take the same numbers except 30 years instead of 33 years instead of 43 years. So that would be 4 times 33 in my exponent. Look at the difference there. 10 years difference makes it down to 52,000 instead of 139,000. So when you're young, it's a good time to invest. A good time. Who knows what living below your means is? What is it? What does living below your means indicate? Living below your means you don't spend every dollar you get. You save some. Okay? You don't have to spend it all. You don't have to have the lifestyle your parents have that they've saved up for over the decades of their life, right? You can live frugally and save some money. All right. Okay. Let's because you want to be. I mean, you can have this kind of interest that you're paying too. You're putting this kind of debt on your credit cards and never paying it off. You can be the one paying this interest instead of earning this interest. We don't want to be that. Here, let's try another example. How about if we still put the $2,000 in one time? Okay, we're not doing it year after year. This is just a one-time deal at age 22 yet. But this time we'll have a Smaller percent, just 3%. We put it in something that's not as risky. A CD is not risky. It's pretty secure, secured by the federal government. And say that's compounded we'll say semi-annually. How often does semi-annually mean?
Twice a year.
Good, 2 times a year. And let's even leave it in longer. Let's leave it until you're 70. So that's 48 years. Can you see if you understand how to use the formula then by calculating this out, making sure you get the correct amount? This is a very likely quiz question, and I'd like to see you do well at this. If you're stuck, raise your hand. Thanks, Nicholas.
Do we round for the decimal inside, like the parentheses?
Leave 4 decimal places up there,
Oh,
and then you can leave your final answer at 2 decimal places. So 3% you would put for R, divide by 2, so you have 0.015. Your 3%, don't forget to move your decimal to the left, so it's 0.03. 2 times 48 is 96, so you have your exponent figured out first, and the 0.015, so you can say 1.015 to the 96th power. Notice now we're only going to have a multiplier of 4. So that change in that interest rate really makes a big difference. And that's why people will take a riskier investment of a mutual fund over a safer investment of a CD. Unless, of course, you have to be careful. You don't put your emergency fund in the mutual fund, because then you have to take your emergency fund when there's an emergency and you can't plan it. So I would put all your savings that you can in a mutual fund, but I don't put my emergency fund in there. I want to be able to access my emergency fund for emergencies. Does anybody have any questions on this? Dave Ramsey has some examples of what interest rates can do. Okay, so here he has the same amount of money, a $1,000 one-time investment, invested for 40 years at 6%, 12%, and 18%. Notice that it does not just double. You double the interest rate, but it more than doubles the amount of money. You triple the interest rate, but it more than triples the amount of money that you earn. And that's why that interest rate is important. So the interest rate is important and time is important. You see time is important here. Here he has some ways that you could be saving money. Probably most of you don't smoke. That was another big thing in the 90s. Okay. But if you could save $90 a month at 12% and you save it for 60 years, look at that, over $11 million. If you save $150 a month for 60 years, over $19 million. $160 a month, that's from eating a bag lunch instead of taking and going out to eat. $20 million a year. So money can grow. That's why Ben Franklin said, interest is the force that will change your lead into gold. Now I'd like you to have some tools to make that happen. So I have some tools that are Excel sheets I'd like you to download. Let's go to Canvas. So when you go to Canvas on the home page, there's a couple of spreadsheets I'd like for you to download to have with you in your future. Someday you'll want to be using these, I would imagine. And some of you need to be thinking about how you're gaining debt right now. If you can live at home instead of living in the dorms, that can save you a lot of money. If you aren't sure what you want to do, you might want to go to a technical college and just get some career going that you're okay with, that you can earn money quickly, and then think about what you might want to do longer term so that you don't have to come out of school with huge debt. There's a proverb, the borrower is a slave to a lender, and so it's better to live below your means and have a little cushion. You'll have a much more peaceful life. So the things I wanted to show you here are the budget. If you don't download it, it looks kind of wonky on Canvas. So download it and open it in a spreadsheet.
Where can we find this?
This is on the Canvas homepage at the very bottom. So it's 10.3 budget. So I would take your sheet before you write in it at all and copy it. So say Control A, Control C, open a new page and save it. Paste it there and save it as December 2019. So that didn't work. Why didn't it work? I'm trying to type it right here. There. So I would save one here each month and do a budget. Then you have a record of your spending. And the way this works is you type in green your income. Okay, so if you are working part-time right now, you have some salary, however much you get. Maybe it's not a whole lot right now. And then you're going to spend it on things. Maybe you have food for a lot of your income right now. I don't know what you spend on food. Eating out is separate over here, so maybe eating out is different. Peanut butter is a lot less expensive than Big Macs, I'll tell you that, okay? So, did you know your car is going to break sometime? I suggest you have some savings for that. Yes. So put some money in savings for your car. And then whatever you have left, make this zero by putting the money in savings. So you can put it in your emergency fund or what have you. Make that come out to zero. What I'm saying is account for all your money. Don't just let it fritter away and at the end of your month you're like, oh, I gotta put some money on a credit card. No, don't do that. Okay, plan ahead. Emergencies do happen though, so as soon as you can get an emergency fund saved up, the more peaceful your existence will be. So I wanted you to save this, and then when you have your total savings figured out for the month, at the end of the month, take your total savings and put it on your savings chart over here. Just write it down. And it'll keep a total for you, and you can make sure that's matching what you actually have. Any questions on how to use this? I put charitable giving here. We live in one of the most wealthy countries in the world, and if you can give some to charity, it will not only be a blessing to someone else, it'll make you feel good too. So I recommend you put some money there too, whatever you can. Okay. Okay, so let's go ahead and take a look at another tool I have for you. So back on the Canvas homepage. Back on the Canvas homepage, I have another tool for you that you'll want eventually, but maybe not right away, but it's nice to have. Your mortgage calculator. So that also needs to be downloaded. I wanted to show you the difference in paying off your home in 15 years versus 30 years. You'd think to pay your home off in 15 years would be twice the payment, but it's not. This is your payment for $100,000 at 3.99%, $476. That doesn't include your interest. That doesn't include your property taxes or your home insurance. But at any rate, to pay your home off in 15 years instead of 30 years is not double the payment. So it's often a good idea to do that. So the way I would use this, I would leave the original sheet the way it is. I would say Control-C and copy and paste, and then put in houses prices that you're looking at. Did you know you can buy an okay starter home in Two Rivers for $50,000? Lot smaller payment, and that's your starter home, right? You don't have to live in the same house that's similar to your parents that they saved up all their lives for. You can start out in a starter home, and hey, it'll make a great rental someday. So these are the total interest that you pay for these different homes. $100,000, $150,000. Interest you're not getting anything for. So try and minimize paying out that interest. Does anybody have any questions on these sheets? I want you to be the one earning the interest, not the one paying the interest. Okay, so this rest of the class then we're going to look at student evaluations. So I'm going to shut this down. Does anyone have any questions?